After an amazing day of golf, Jones said, Vivek Ramaswamy tends to use 3 theories of truth to get at what is true. And I will discuss these theories in depth in a few days. With that said, in this clip, Vivek wisely, much like a teacher, uses the correspondence theory of truth to nuance his point. In doing so, he encourages the journalist to report that which comports to reality, not that which comports to preferred narrative.
To be honest with you, I was thinking about him. I'm going to pick on you for a second, but we're going to have come from the media, actually. So I'm not going to be mean about this or anything, but you asked me a question yesterday, which you actually made me actually look, because I'm grounded in facts. There was a false premise in your question. I just want to be respectful about it. You asked me yesterday about would I consider, would you say, being a little bit more responsible about how we talk about the events of January 6th and whatever happened. And I specifically asked about the number of undercover FBI agents who were in the field. And you said Christopher Wray has repeatedly said that there were none. That's what you told me. Well, I went back to specifically the testimony. Look at Clay Higgins pressing him during his testimony before Congress. That's just not what he said. Christopher Wray repeatedly, when asked and pressed by Clay Higgins, a congressman from, I want to say, Alabama, whichever state he's from, he's from Louisiana. He repeatedly pressed him, and Christopher Wray said for all kinds of reasons he's not going to state how many federal agents or whether there were federal agents in the field or whether there were informants in the field. And I think in your case, I don't think that was an intentional gotcha, but I think that this enough becomes part of the actual narrative, part of the baseline narrative, that it then misleads the public because you have a government. It's Christopher Wray's trick working on the media, because Christopher Wray has said for the longest time that he's not going to say how many federal agents are in the field. Repeat that enough times, you then have the media that's playing interference for him, adopts that as the interpretation he wants you to have, which is that there were no federal agents in the field, when in fact his actual answer said that he did not answer the question. And so the exchange we had yesterday, I told you I'm grounded to fact. I am grounded to fact. I went specifically to that testimony. I watched it 3 times to make sure I was clear about the answer. And it's clear as day that that's what he said. And so all I would say is I would encourage you, all of you in the media, to be more skeptical of what the government feeds us. I'm grounded in fact. And I would say if there is a type of question that bothers me, it's one in which there's a false premise grounded in a fact that's not true, asking for my opinion. Often that comes from the media. But what I'll tell you is if I'm running for U.S. president, it's my job not to be exasperated by the questions that I'm asked. It's my job to actually answer them, because I'm asking all of you as voters to put me in the position of being the leader of the free world. And so all questions are fair game, and that's why I'm going to answer them. But I did want to follow up on that from yesterday.
Jones said, out of the 5 theories of truth, 1, the correspondence theory, 2, the semantic theory of Tarski and Davidson, 3, the deflationary theory of Frege and Ramsey, 4, the coherence theory, and 5, the pragmatic theory. At least the first 3 need to be understood before one reports the news or votes.
Eric, I just appreciate as respectful a sense as possible. We can continue that discussion, but take a look at the Clay Higgins testimony.
I've seen quotes of him
of the Clay Higgins exchange.
I've seen quotes of him denying in that testimony.
So what he denies, I watched it like 3 times because I wanted to be really. He says, I'm not going to tell you how many federal agents or whether there are federal agents or mumbo jumbo, but for those who think that the FBI instigated it, we didn't. Well, some government official who's being denied of non-transparency, of course he's going to deny the basic summarial accusation, but what the press, I think, should want, what Clay Higgins want, what I want, are the hard facts, because I'm skeptical of his assertion, and the facts appear not to support his assertions. And so when asked about the facts of how many federal agents and or informants were in the field, he did not once answer that question and repeatedly refused to. And so I see this as, I don't see you as playing a game here. I am worrying that much of the media is duped by a government when the job of the media is to hold that government accountable. And so I think he wants you to believe exactly what you came away with, which is just his summarial statement that, oh, there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11. Or fast forward that 22 years and it's where we are today. And I think that that's where it requires a level of skepticism to avoid repeating the same mistakes of the post-9/11 Patriot Act era in this country.
And your position is that summarial denial is like based in a certain justice.
And the facts increasingly should cause us to be skeptical of that. And then the non-transparency under testimony in front of Congress to just give a straight answer to that question should heighten our suspicion, not to dismiss the fact that he didn't answer the question. That's what my position is.
Director Wray, does the FBI have confidential human sources? Did the FBI have confidential human sources embedded within the January 6th protesters on January 6th of 2021?
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I have to be very careful about what I can say about when
Even now, because that's what you told us 2 years ago.
May I finish? About when we do and do not, and where we have and have not used confidential human sources. But to the extent that there's a suggestion, for example, that the FBI's confidential human sources or FBI employees in some way instigated or orchestrated January 6th, that's categorically false.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people, no, we did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol?
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information
Director Wray,
on confidential human
gentleman's
sources.
time has expired.